born again virgin. Mm-hmm. Okay. But you don't consider yourself a virgin, correct?
Physically, of course not, yeah.
Okay. And I think to you too, you're not a virgin.
Are you asking me if I'm a virgin or if I count myself as a born again virgin?
Either, both, I guess, yeah.
I don't count myself as a born again virgin, like physically.
Okay. But you guys are both waiting until marriage.
Yes.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Are you?
What?
Are you waiting until marriage to have sex?
I plan on it, yes.
What do you mean you plan on it?
I plan on waiting till marriage.
But you're not a virgin, correct?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, that's 100% your choice. However, my dating recommendation to any men watching, that's a bad deal. That's a raw deal for men. So I do not recommend dating women who have previously been who have previously been sexually promiscuous.
That is a judgment. Because you called it a bad
I'm fine
deal.
with but see, I'm cool with judgment. See, you guys like to point the finger, but like women are, when it comes to selecting partners, you guys are fucking ruthless. Men ask for very, very little from women when it comes to dating, but you guys will literally have fucking laundry lists of what you need. Now, just because you guys will say, well, I'll date an obese person, which I think ultimately is cap. But the reality is, women are incredibly picky. Women are they're the more sexually selective sex. There's an evopsych basis for that. There's a biological basis for that. So how are you going to tell me about I'm being judgmental? But y'all are super judgmental. Would you date a guy who's shorter than you?
I have.
Would you? Okay, the guy who you're ultimately going to marry, would he be shorter than you?
No.
You don't care at all.
I don't.
How tall is your current guy?
He's 6'1".
He's 6'1". Conveniently, women always say, well, I don't really care about height. But when you ask them about their past partners and their current partners, they're all conveniently 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6 feet.
He's the first guy I've ever dated that's over 6 foot.
Okay.
I think we care to an extent for sure about height.
You don't care at all about
I
height?
do care.
Be taller than
Gotta
To
be
be
an
honest,
inch and
if
a
I'm
half.
You don't care about
completely
anything.
honest, you said shorter.
You don't care about
if
anything.
If they're like 3'4", then
Sure.
I care. 'cause they're-
Why wouldn't you date a dwarf?
Stop.
Why are you laughing? That's really rude. There are men who are genuinely dwarves. Why are you laughing? That's rude. So, I'm just giving you guys back what you've been giving me. I don't give a fuck.
I get it. It's
I
great.
gave my honest opinion on it.
I said
Why
no.
wouldn't you date a dwarf?
No, you said shorter
That's a
than me.
judgment.
But
I would date a dwarf. That's really rude of you that you wouldn't date a dwarf. I'm this pious person who, I am this paragon of non-judgmentality.
You non-judgment. You date a dwarf, but not only girl.
Shit.
You don't judge.
I would. Dwarf is preferable.
He's like, I would
no,
date a
dwarf is way preferable.
I don't judge. You just said I don't judge.
I like
in the
short
same sentence.
women. Short women. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. So
it says in Titus for Christians to make good judgments upon themselves, because if we don't judge at all, then we won't make the right decisions and the right discernment.
Yeah, they're making a conflation between judging for salvation and making judgments in reality. There's a distinction. Christians, we have to make judgments all the time, especially about the value of truth. We have to. So we use a mixture of a correspondence theory of truth along with some other theories of truth. But that which corresponds with reality is true. And so it's okay to make judgments. It's not okay to make judgments about a person's salvation. There's a distinction to be made here. That's why I don't understand, and I hear this all the time. You're not allowed to judge because you're a Christian. That's bullshit. I have to make judgments every single day. I have to make judgments about whether to turn right or left when I'm on the road. Those are judgment calls.
So when James says don't judge, and there's scripture that says not to judge sinfully, because I believe that we need to make judgments to decipher between right or wrong, but there's a sinful inclination behind that, and I think perhaps, I'm not really sure, like some of the women are confused, like what you mean by judgment, like the definitions are not clear for them, but what are your thoughts on that when the book of James literally says not to judge? people in a sinful way. Because do you believe that we can judge sinfully?
I don't even understand what the question
Wait,
is.
I have a
Do
quick question.
believe-
The question is,
I got
do
a quick
you,
question. Would it be sinful judgment for me to, for example, when I'm assessing who I would like to date, sleep with, get into a long-term relationship with, marry, would it be sinful judgment for me to preclude women who have, for example, slept with more than 20 men? Is that sinful judgment?
I don't think so if it's a preference. If you're not looking at that woman and saying, gosh, she's like, whatever, like a B word or like a slander, and you weren't thinking, I'm better than this woman. No, like I think it's not a sinful judgment to say, I prefer a woman who doesn't have that background.
Can I ask you this question? Have you slept with more than like 20 women?
20 men? What?
20 women?
Have you ever been with a virgin?
What?
Have you ever been with a virgin?
Yeah. Couple.
Couple?
Uh-oh.
You're
Am I
not in a
revealing? I've
relationship
kind
with a
of
virgin?
I've revealed a
Just
couple
taking their
details of my body
virginity and
count. That's
leaving
like
them?
the closest I've ever gotten to.
Wait, you don't-
What's the question?
Well, you said, is it a preference? Is it judgment if I say I can't sleep with a woman who's been with 20 men? But in the Bible, it says, how dare you look at someone else's, like a plank in their eye when you have a log in your own. I believe we're supposed to make the right judgments based upon that account.
So by your logic, a man who, say, for example, has slept with 20 women, he is therefore obliged to only date women who have also slept with 20 men or more. Is that the argument?
That's not the argument. He's not obliged to. He's
So
just
my
that,
position-
how can he judge them when he's already done that?
Well, let's say he doesn't judge them, but let's just say he has a preference. And let's say he slept with 100 women, but he recognizes that there's actually some pretty substantial romantic and dating upsides to dating someone who doesn't have a promiscuous past, despite his own. And I don't think there's anything removing judgment, but despite him having slept with 100 women, perhaps it's a self-reflection on his own behavior, he realized promiscuous behavior is not good. It can be a sign of certain past trauma. It can create trauma the more people you've partnered with, the more people you've dated. I have no objections to somebody, man or woman, although this tends to go more one way than the other. I have no objections to a man who slept with 100 women preferring to date a woman with a low body count or a virgin. Whether he can get her or not is another conversation. But I think there's nothing wrong with that. In the same way that I bet a lot of the women here at this table are not funny at all and find humor in men incredibly attractive. Perhaps there are women at this table who are not particularly financially well off, but find rich men very attractive, or perhaps you are attracted to men who are confident, but you're lacking confidence. So is your position, my view on this is that you need not, in order to desire a trait in somebody, you need not also possess said trait. So I don't object to men
The
with
Chill
high body counts.
808 donated $100. There is a difference between judgment, as in sitting in sentence of someone. Then there is discernment, meaning to choose what is right or wrong for you. Learn Koine Greek, the understanding is wrong.
Here, let me do a couple chats here. We have, one sec. Thank you, Chill 808.